Welcome to our playground.
Recess the Podcast is an eclectic show of organic discussion, imagination, deep conversations, interviews, creativity, intuition, high vibrations, and fun.
Be informed, energized, inspired, and entertained with me, Jamie.
And me, Brian. Ready or not, here we come.
Because we all need to take a break. Hey, Brian, how's it going?
I'm good, Jamie. How are you?
Fan-fucking-tastic. It's one of those days.
F-bomb, the quickest F-bomb in Recess the Podcast history.
Just wait. I might just do the universal peace sign to go with it.
I'm in trouble today, friends.
Welcome to the playground.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that took me by surprise.
Just wait till I pull a rabbit out of my hat.
Well, yeah, no, I think I'm in trouble. We have, well, obviously you, and then Karen is a bit of a fireball herself. So our guest today, we have a guest, is Karen Seltz, who's a confidence and visibility coach who supports coaches and online business owners to integrate their heads with their hearts and speak with authenticity and authority on camera. So I know that Karen coaches people to have a video presence and maybe overcome some of their fears regarding video, et cetera, et cetera. Karen, welcome.
Thank you so much. And I'm so excited that we can drop fuck bombs.
It's a podcast. It's our podcast. We can do it. It's like, because we know how fabulous the word fuck can be, depending on how you say it.
I am going to be in the corner sucking my thumb. You guys can finish the show. Oh my. Am I blushing? No, it's
Are. Even on audio, you're blushing. You can see it through the audio.
Yeah. Ooh. Okay. I kind of lost my train of thought, but yeah, Karen. So
It's fabulous, Karen, because you just never know what you're going to get with me. I live to embarrass Brian.
I love people that embarrass easily. They are so much fun for me to play with. So you should not have revealed that to me.
Like a little cat and mouse. You just kidding.
You guys are...
Run, Brian, run.
I would if I could.
Yeah. You know we're going to tag team you now. I mean, not in that way, but in,
Girl power.
Okay. So anyhow, yeah, Karen, welcome. I think. Yeah. Is it too late to get somebody else, Jamie? Or run this one by myself?
We're about to change in our bikinis. Were we talking about that earlier?
Oh Lord. Yeah, I don't know about that.
Hold on, Brian. This is going to be fun for you. You're going to learn from experience how to lighten up, and then you can show other people how to do it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So I will try to be the voice of reason here. I know personally how important learning how to overcome my fear of speaking and do community college speech classes and Toastmasters and a whole bunch of other things I did about 15 years ago to, open myself up more. What are some of the breakthroughs and things that make you really happy that you witness in your clients when you work with them to be more visible on video?
Yeah. Well, I think one of the biggest things is I get them to drop the script, which is frightening. It's frightening for the people I deal with because a lot of them are analytical.
Yeah.
Most of us that are called to serve are perfectionists, and we want to do a good job and we want to look good. We don't want to look stupid. And the script is a crutch, but more than that, it is this barrier between you and your audience. It doesn't allow you to be seen. It doesn't allow them to see you and feel you and to know you as a person. And we've all heard this, I believe, at some point or another. People do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. So my big thing is to, like I said in the intro, or you said in the intro, is to integrate what they know with who they are and what they feel. And just to let it all rip. Let the F-bombs fly.
Fucking A.
So some of the biggest breakthroughs are when people actually ditch the script and they they take this breath. There's a moment. They might be like, blah, 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 you know, fumbling over the words. And then there's a moment where they take a breath and they just connect into their heart. So one of the anchoring phrases I teach is, what I really want to say is, because that's a signal to your subconscious mind to say what's true for you. So take a breath. What I really want to say is, and then they speak from the heart, and what comes out is absolute gold. And they're like, where did that come from? Oh my gosh. And it's just a blast to watch that moment on people's faces and just to see them light up like that. It's incredible.
Love it.
Can I follow up really quick? Normally we go back and forth. Thank you, Jamie. I know exactly what you're talking about. Like when I started getting interviewed on podcasts a long time ago after my first book or two, I would have notes up on the wall behind me and stuff like that all over the place, and just, just kind of pretend like I'm thinking and like, okay, and, I still do that occasionally if there's something I don't want to forget, you know what I mean, to include possibly, but anymore, I don't want to regurgitate or whatever. I trust that I'm going to get what I need. And I think, it takes a little while sometimes, but there is a lot of freedom when we get there.
It's a skill, and skills can be learned. They can be built. And that is the big thing. You nailed it, Brian. It's trusting yourself. And I do a lot of spirituality work, which is why I play so much, because seriousness is of the ego mind. Our spirits are playful AF. Like when we are in our true essence, we're playing. The ego takes itself seriously, not the spirit. So trusting, and most of the people that come to me that I work with, they've taken all the classes. They're the smartest people in the damn world. They know all the things, and yet they're always looking to learn more things, which is a way of hiding. It's a way of staying stuck and staying small. So I'm like, enough. Let's put it into action. Let's play. Let's be willing to fuck it up, and fuck it up with passion, because that's the only way you're going to get better.
That's right. I think one of the things, for me, my personality, especially if I'm walking through a particular topic or something has kind of blindsided me, I need time to process. Some people just need to process. And what I say initially isn't really what I want to say. Right. So to ask me the question, what do you really want to say? It might take days before I can articulate it, And so a couple of years ago, I took an improv class. Best thing I ever did. One, because when I started my YouTube channel, I sounded like a newscaster. That was fun. And then, that's when you learn not to take yourself too seriously.
My best friend, Brian.
Hey, special.
Goodbye.
Astrologically, this is what's going on. Uranus is up your ass. Anyways, I digress. But that improv class was so fabulous for me because it really taught me how to think on my feet. And then trying to use it in everyday life, I still get caught off guard where I have to sit and process for days. But for the most part, I'm getting more spontaneous in being able to communicate on the fly. But what you're pointing to is I have to take a breath first and connect with myself before I can do that.
Yeah. And know that everything that you've ever learned is available to you. When our nervous system gets tripped up, when we are in fight or flight, we don't have access to our logical brain anymore. So a lot of what I teach is grounding into the present moment and calming the nervous system. And there's ways to do that really, really quickly.
Yes. Have a step back with the improv. What I also really love about the whole improv setup is the yes and. Like when you're in class and somebody throws something at you, you have to accept it. You cannot say no, or you know what I mean? It's just yes and you do it. And so that's a really great way, I think, to kind of look at life too, because it's really easy to be the devil's advocate or create those stories. But I've never done it before, or I'm not sure, or I'm scared, but just yes and just see what happens.
Yeah, I love that. And improv was so hard for me when I took it because I was a salesperson before that. And one of the rules in improv is you cannot ask any questions. And what do good salespeople do? Like they don't make statements. They just ask questions. I'm like, And I also took it from people that had a different religious philosophy and we were not allowed to swear. I'm like, how am I supposed to not censor myself? I'm like, and not swear. So it was really challenging, but I did learn a lot. Like, yes, and it is, Brian, a fabulous philosophy to go through life that way.
And it forces you to turn your brain off, because if you try to, like, if you're witnessing what's going on between the other people and you go, I'm going to do this, well, then a wrench gets thrown and you get something else, then you're screwed. You know what I mean? You have to be able to pivot and just kind of like try to be free of mind.
Yeah. And be present. It teaches
Yeah,
you to be
yeah.
present in the moment. You can't think ahead. You get to just be there and it's trust.
Yeah.
Trust that you'll have something to say.
Well, and you don't care as much about what other people think. And you might just laugh at yourself, get laughed at. And that's where the ego goes, fuck it. It doesn't matter anyways, you know? So it's a wonderful tool. I think life should be an improv. It is an improv. We just take it too seriously, you know?
And try to control it too much.
Absolutely. You know, or try and do stand-up comedy and
Oh,
you know,
gosh.
put that in there.
Hint, we have a former stand-up comic here too.
I wouldn't classify myself as that. I took a class at the community college in stand-up comedy because it was billed as, if you want to be a professional speaker, this is a great tool to learn how to speak. And I did learn how to speak. I sucked at stand-up. I was so bad. It was hilarious how bad I was, but I only did it a few times. And it's one of those things you must practice. And what I realized about myself is I have a responsive humor. When someone says something, I am like laser beam quick with a response or a retort. But coming up with my own material, oh, no, not my forte.
Yeah. Did you ever get any vegetables thrown at you?
No.
No.
I only did like local stand-up comedy contests and then the showcase with the class. But after that, I did have a comedy radio show on AM.
Wow.
Yeah, you don't hear that one every day. Does that mean morning time? Just kidding.
No, it was on at 9 p.m. It's kind of funny. So I live in Arizona, and we used to have this sheriff called Joe Arpaio, and he was the one who built tent cities and had chain gangs, and the prisoners wore pink underwear. I mean, he was really quite something. And my show was directly after his. So I used to see him every single week in the studio. And the base of our listeners were all prisoners.
What did he talk about?
Listening. What?
What did he talk about?
I never listened to his show.
What?
I don't know.
Wow, you guys are like complete opposites. That's
Well, my confession of AM radio is George Norrie. I used to wake up to go to the gym and listen to George Norrie because I had to get to the gym at 4 a.m. because of my kids being so young and I was competing and all that. And so, yeah, George Norrie was the only thing on. So I'd be listening to alien stories, UFO. It's fabulous.
I have no idea who that is.
Oh,
Enlighten us.
No, he's still doing it, I think. I mean, he's written books. He's got,
listen to
well,
him.
actually, the other night I was like driving home late, it was a month ago or something, and it was like, I think it starts at 11, like coast to coast.
Coast to Coast with George Norrie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he'd have all kinds of fun guests, sci-fi, off the wall, sort of the first beginnings of Ancient Aliens, in my opinion.
Oh, fun.
He was fun. So, but
back when people didn't believe that, and now our government's come out and said, hey, it's all true.
I've seen one, just saying, and UFO.
Wow. Well, I want to hear about that in a second, but he took over for Art Bell, who started it.
Oh, fun fact from Brian. Good.
Yeah, Art Bell was doing it like 30 years ago. Same thing, same tenants.
Wow.
Yeah.
Karen, have you ever seen a UFO? Do you believe in them?
Oh, I believe in so much. I believe that there was a movie. Oh, I'm going to mess up the name. It was on Amazon for a while, and it was something about supernatural, the invisible made visible. And this woman made this documentary, and we use so few of our senses, and we perceive such a tiny percentage of reality. And she was just exposing all these things that our government knows about, like remote spies. They've used them since the 60s. where they have psychic spies. They actually travel there energetically with their consciousness. They never leave the United States. And they were something like 70% accurate with their information. Just fascinating.
Like remote viewing, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Mhm. It's like Men Who Stare at Goats, if you ever saw that movie.
Yeah.
Oh, I never saw it.
Oh yeah.
Comedy with George Clooney.
Yeah.
It's
With an
I'll
interesting
watch
thing.
it.
But I mean, the reason I point to this is because you said, spirituality and connect with the heart and all that. And the unseen realm is the part that we as human beings, at least the generations that we're from, weren't taught to tap into. It was taboo. But it's a real thing. It's a sixth sense. And it is something that if we pay attention to it, we call it intuition. You pay attention to it, it helps to unlock a lot of information. It also allows us to start trusting more because it's information that we have access to.
So true. And I think Brian knows I kind of nerd out on Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Oh yeah, who doesn't?
I love that man. And he teaches people how to open their hearts and how to access becoming pure consciousness.
Yeah.
And we practice as groups, and you can see he talks about an emergent consciousness, which is like a school of fish, where it looks like there's a leader, but really it's a bottom up phenomenon and everybody is leading. And within a few days, there'll be like 1,800 people at one of his retreats. We all start moving together like a flock. We become one heart and one mind. And you see people get out of wheelchairs who haven't been out of them in 7 years and start walking. Now you can't tell me that something is not happening there. We're affecting atoms at a subatomic level, at a quantum level. When you look at an atom under a microscope, I'm sorry, I'm getting super nerdy.
I love it.
It's 99.99999% space or energy or information. And we as humans, we get stuck in this 3D construct. We think we're solid, and we're looking at such a minuscule part of the whole. And when we start focusing on that energy body, we can change our physicality sometimes in one meditation. It's unbelievable. And I've seen it.
Well, it's just like those guests we had on a while back who had the peace meditation series, and they're trying to get a bunch of people to meditate on the same thing at the same time, right?
Yep. Yeah, we just did a global walking meditation on Saturday. It was sponsored by Dr. Joe Dispenza. We had 166 countries out of how many are there? 184. So almost every country was represented. Wow. And there were over 200,000 people, I believe, walking at the exact same time. And are you familiar with the Schumann resonance?
Mm-hmm.
Heard of it.
So you can Google it, but it's the energetic signature of this realm of Earth. And like astronauts experience some kind of thing when they leave the atmosphere where it's just, it doesn't feel good. And they measure it. And at the exact time of our meditation, you can see these spikes of, usually you'll see like a little green is coherence, and white is 5D. Like we're into the fifth dimension. We're affecting change. It's such a larger level than this Earth. And it's, I don't know, it's fascinating.
Yeah, it's interesting because the nonprofit that I'm a staff director for as well is Nine Gates Mystery School. And the energy field that is created, it's so great because even the students, but the staff themselves, there's times where we don't even have to speak. We know exactly where we're at, what we're doing. We hone in, and it's like we show up at the same time, same place, exactly where we need to be because we're in the energy field, just like you're talking about. We're just all moving at that same pace.
Yeah. And now you can explain it even scientifically.
Exactly, which is great.
You tap in and you become one heart, one mind when you share an intention. I love it.
Yeah.
It's all, and to me, that's the biggest thing, coming back to why do we do the work that we do, that we're called to do as these spiritual practitioners, the coaches, the inspirers, the creators, all that. It's to awaken us at any moment to know that whatever we're doing is affecting another. We're not separate. We're not islands. We're not a rock, so to speak. We need each other. We need to belong, and we are affecting change when we're working with ourselves, but then connecting with others too.
100%. And yeah, energy knows no bounds either. So we're not finite. If we think a loving thought about someone across the globe, they feel it in an instant. It's not even the speed of light, it's instantly.
Mhm.
And the same thing if we think a negative thought, like that travels as well. So we get to watch our thoughts. We get to be bringing that stuff up to our conscious level of awareness and just really paying attention and knowing that, so many of us grow up with this, I don't matter.
Mm.
I think everybody has their own flavor of that. Like, I'm not enough. I don't matter. And when you actually see this, you see the science behind it, that you can affect change energetically instantly, you really get a sense of how much you do matter. I mean, and try it. If you don't believe me, try it. Like, think of a loving thought about somebody, doesn't matter where they are, and see what happens. A lot of times that person will call you or reach out. It's like, hey, I was just thinking about you. And hey, I miss you.
Yeah.
Just try it. It's fun.
And with all that you just said, that's why it also highlights how important it is to have positive thoughts about oneself, because it can really hold you back if you don't.
Absolutely. And, I'm going to point back to something that I've been working with for quite some time now, and it's about that yes and the inclusion piece. So when a negative thought comes in, it doesn't, for me, it's about integrating it. It's a moment of awakening to say, wait a minute, I'm having a self-deprecating thought. Now it's an invitation to change it to something positive. So when they come in, because it's part of the human experience, we have to have shadow in order to have light. So having that come in is not a bad thing. For me, I want the audience to hear that from my perspective. I don't see it as bad. I see it as a tool to awaken.
Absolutely. And I love that, because so much of, at least what I did in my experience was resist those parts of myself that I thought were unlovable. I resisted them. I put them in a closet, and that left me with all these holes inside. It's like I said, oh, it's not okay to be selfish. So I like reached down and ripped that hunk out of my soul and threw it aside. And when I finally started saying it's okay to be selfish, like, and really even looking at what the gifts are of being selfish, like when I'm selfish, when I take time for myself, I have more to give to other people. I'm a lot more fun to be around. I'm a lot more pleasant. I'm not such an asshole. So just really looking at the gifts. And when I integrated all those parts, I stopped looking outside of myself to fill those holes, because nothing ever worked. And I tried all the things. Nothing ever worked. I still felt empty.
Yeah, you weren't running from them anymore. You're aware of them, but yet it's not like we look outside of ourselves to validate ourselves because we're hiding all that stuff that you were just talking about, right? I mean,
Yeah. And I even play like a little bit, like, like selfish is a big trigger word for me, or at least it used to be, because my mom would talk about people that were selfish, and I made up that means they are unlovable. Like nobody will ever accept them. They're going to die alone. So when I catch myself in that story, I'm like, come here, you selfish little bitch. I got you. You're okay. I love you so much. And, I'm sweet to those parts because I didn't get that growing up. But it's not up to anybody else to give it to me. It's up to me. At this age, it's up to me.
Yep. When
I give it to myself.
That's right. When my rebel, I love it, shows up, because that's one of my big shadows is, if I don't like something, fuck you, I'm out. I'm going to do my own thing. Right. And the saying that was used against me all my life is, Jamie's going to do what she's going to do, regardless of what I say. And you know what? You're right. It's my life. It's my choice. And thank you for that. Now I integrate. When the rebel shows up, it's like, wait a minute, I'm being a people pleaser. I'm doing something I don't feel is congruent for me or in alignment for me. I need to self-check.
Oh, I love it. I love that. And your inner rebel is there to serve you.
Right.
What a beautiful.
Until it's not, though. Aren't there times when we're so stubborn that we maybe bail when we need to stay? Yes. For a variety of reasons?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I believe it's all perfect. Like every choice we make will be used for us in some way.
Ultimately,
when we're ready to see it.
This, yeah, hopefully we're able to see the self-awareness aspect of it when we do that.
But I think
Huh?
You do?
Doo-doo.
We should have some sort of like noise or something goes off. Anyways, why not?
You too.
I think the thing though, yes, you can do anything to an extreme. Well, then you're out of harmony, right? That's why you have symbols like yin yang, light, dark, all that, because there's a symbiotic relationship and we keep a foot in both worlds and walk the middle path. So it's always a choice. That's why I was saying about the negative. It's not about getting rid of it. It's about using it as a tool to make a choice. For at any moment, I have a choice.
Mhm. And the other thing with that, Jamie and Brian too, is like I teach people when they first start noticing those things that they're doing that they don't want to do, what the tendency of most people is to beat themselves up like, oh, there I go doing it again. I'm like, no, you get to celebrate because your entire life you've been unconscious to the fact that you've been doing it. You've been doing it all along. Now you are aware of it. So you get to celebrate the fact that you caught it because only when you catch it can you do something about it.
Right.
Great point.
High five, sister. That's a good one.
It's like you say, it's all about balance and integration and loving what is.
Mhm.
Not just accepting it, but loving it. Like loving my selfish little bitch. Like I love her.
You know, the funny
She's
thing,
got my back.
right? I mean, here we are. The gift of COVID has brought up all of the mental health stuff that people have gone through. We are now embracing even more, not just because of COVID, but because of the circumstances that have been part of the COVID experience, like the racism and the violence and all this sort of thing that's going on, is that now we have diversity, inclusion, belonging. All of that has become such a huge component in the workforce and companies and institutions and all that. Where I'm going with this is we should use it for ourselves too. We should include all the diversity that lives inside of us. And it goes back to that yes and.
Ooh,
Yeah, until we do, we're searching outside of ourselves, right?
And
yeah.
we belong. Our soul chose this vehicle to house itself here. I have a right to be in this body. Therefore, I have a right to be in this world. So I belong. And I can trust that.
No matter what you've done, no matter, yeah, what you're doing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is juicy. This is some good stuff. And
Hey.
for me, this is fun. Like these kind of discussions that spark the inspiration that it doesn't have to be the way it is. I don't have to be on autopilot. I can create something different when I just start making these little tiny shifts.
Yeah.
And it's not even, I don't even want to say changes, but it's shifts, a shift in perspective. Course in Miracles calls that a miracle. Anytime you can have a shift in perspective. And I love that, the diversity is like including all the parts of ourselves. I've never heard that. That's brilliant.
Well, yeah, and if you think about it, life is all just a series of shifts in perspective.
Mm-hmm.
We're constantly tweaking due to our self-awareness and our ability to make the proper changes to become more whole and authentic. And it's not always easy. Not everybody gets there, but it's a process.
Yeah, I really want to add to what Jamie said earlier about diversity. I believe that our outer world reflects our inner beliefs. So anybody who approaches somebody else with hate or prejudice, it's just a sign of lack of self-acceptance. That's it. Because there's nothing outside of us. So if I'm projecting my hate onto somebody else, it's self-hate. Because this is really esoteric, but everybody is myself. We're not separate.
All mirrors for each other.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And I think, I love food. I love to cook. And so I consider life to be this grand experiment, this grand recipe. And you talk about shifts in perspective, just add a new ingredient. That's what I tell my clients all the time. I'm like, let's just try this out. It's a grand experiment. It might blow up, might be the worst recipe we've ever made, but what's one ingredient that we can add to this? Because something needs to change.
I love that. One time I was high
This one?
Not you.
Just once. And I had this great epiphany. I'm like, oh, what could I make that would be so good? So I was making this pasta sauce and I got like a can of crab and I put blue cheese in it. And it was like ammonia. It was the worst taste ever.
But you didn't know until you tried.
No, I didn't know until I tried. I won't do that again.
That's funny.
I was willing. I was willing to experiment.
As we know, experience is one of the greatest teachers. You can talk all day long, but if you don't actually taste it, you won't know.
My son is very wise for his age, 29, but yet he's also one of those people that needs to find out where that line is and sometimes cross it, sometimes much to his own, not his benefit, but yet he knows that about himself, but he's still, he's curious.
I love that. And I would do my best to keep that alive in him because so many adults, like, they are basing all of their decisions on past failures.
Yeah.
And they start living smaller and smaller and smaller lives because they don't want to take a risk. They don't want to fail.
Mm-hmm.
But we must be willing to mess it up. If we want anything different than what we have to venture outside of our comfort zone.
Exactly. And there's some humans out there that are perfectly happy and content with their comfort zone. They don't want to stretch. They don't want to risk and grow. They like their lives small. That's fine. It's not me, but that's fine if they do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
in my experience, that doesn't work for very long. I mean, it works for a while, but then life, like your higher self will come in and start shaking things up and taking things away and like give you the bitch slap. Like, it's time to wake up. Like, this is not what you came for. You are here for more than this life. It happens to almost everybody I know.
Like a health thing will come up or something. You're forced to change your ways.
Yeah. Outer circumstances, if you're not going to do the work consciously yourself, the universe is very loving. It will provide the opportunity.
I always say that too. Like, how many times are you going to say no to the call? Because the more you say no, the louder and bigger your lessons get. And like, I try to listen now. Like, okay, I hear you. I'm not getting it, but I hear you.
Yeah. Don't give me cancer again. Don't, whatever. Yeah, I'm listening. I'll do my best. I was like, I don't want the hard smack on the head.
Yeah. And I think it's Dr. Joe Dispenza. He says we can learn through tragedy or we can learn by surprises. I'm like, give me the happy surprises. I don't need the tragedies.
Yeah. I hear you.
Unfortunately, we are out of time.
Oh, we
are. But this has been awesome, and I'm going to put all your information in our show notes, Karen. Jamie, do you have anything you want to say as we?
It has been so much fun to play, and we have so much more exploring to do with you, Karen. So please come back. It would be great to have you again. And I'd love just to hear any last words of wisdom, anything you want to share.
Oh, this has been so much fun. I love it. Well, I think the big thing for me is to really start becoming aware of what you really want. And then look at what kind of beliefs or behaviors are preventing you from having it. And just tell your subconscious mind, hey, let me know when I'm doing those things or believing those things, and it will support you. And be loving to yourself. Give yourself some grace and have fun with the process of becoming who you are here to become. Because you're already that. It's just a matter of disidentifying with all the things that you're not. So you are pure love, you are pure radiance, and you are here for something big. So go do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Infinity and beyond.
Exactly.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Jamie.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Karen.
Thank you both. This was so much fun.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining Jamie and Brian on Recess, the podcast, the twice-weekly show of eclectic, inspired, and entertaining discussion. Be sure to subscribe as well as share with your friends and spread the good news. It's always appreciated. If you'd like to learn more about Jamie's intuitive coaching services and creative projects, please go to jamiedawn.com. And if you'd like to learn more about Brian and his creative spark world and books, please go to gbrianbenson.com.